And now to the latest in the Trump presidency. The president dealing with several major issues heading into the weekend, from one of his cabinet secretaries taking private jets and then resigning late today, to the crisis in Puerto Rico and the anthem controversy. Let's bring in the host of Face the Nation, John Dickerson, to discuss these topics. John, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Tom Price, resigned this afternoon after coming under fire for taking private jets, costing taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. Any big surprise there?
Well, in a sense, and now that it's happened, it doesn't seem like a surprise. Earlier in the week, I talked to a senior administration official who gave me a very clear picture of the president's anger about this for two reasons. They have said the president came to office saying he was going to drain the swamp in Washington, and his feeling was this looked like swamp-dwelling behavior. And secondly, they're going to try and do some very difficult things with the budget, with taxes that'll get around the question of fairness. And Mick Mulvaney, who is the director of the Office of Management and Budget, said he doesn't even buy business cards for himself because he doesn't want to spend that money, doesn't want to spend the taxpayers' money. And earlier in the year, he justified some cuts to the budget by saying there's nothing we can spend money on that a single mom who's a waitress or a coal miner in West Virginia would think is reasonable. And these trips on these private planes did not meet that test. On the other hand, the president is quite loyal, and so there was a period during the week where people were arguing that this might not lead to a resignation, but now it has, and it's the first cabinet official, but certainly there have been a lot of other departures from this administration.
John, the president plans to visit Puerto Rico next Tuesday, and a lot of people are critical of the federal response to the hurricane, but he continues to say the administration of FEMA have done an incredible job. Those are his words. You've seen the responses to natural disasters before. Is this an incredible job?
Well, it's hard to tell. There are two parts of this that need to be evaluated. One is this was a devastating storm. It had the flooding of Hurricane Harvey and the winds of Irma that hit Puerto Rico. And so in those conditions, it's always going to be, nothing can ever get there fast enough. And so I think it's still a question of whether they dropped their assignment in terms of the federal response. The governor of Puerto Rico had been praising the federal response and the president. But what is different here is that the President Trump knows how to put his time and attention towards things that he cares a lot about in terms of his public role. And at the same time this was happening in Puerto Rico, he was spending more of his public time and attention in terms of what he was saying and his use of Twitter on this question of the NFL. And so just if you look at his public remarks, which is a very important part of his presidency, that's where people are making these kinds of comparisons. And so when he goes there Tuesday, he's certainly on the defensive on that. And then I think it'll just take some time to assess, for Congress also to assess, whether there was actual slowness here or whether the response was better than the president's critics are suggesting.
Well, it's still playing out there in Puerto Rico. Let's see what the reaction is to his trip on Tuesday. John Dickerson, thank you very much. John, look forward to Face the Nation this weekend right here on CBS.